Hey guys, it's your girl Boonie, and you're listening to episode 73 of the Boonie Breakdown podcast. The podcast where we sometimes cry, we always laugh, we might get a bit ratchet, but we're forever gonna break it down. All right, guys, this week my guest is Mecca Woods, our favorite Black astrologer. And Mecca is here and she answers all of your listener questions that you sent in, so don't you worry. Some of those questions were about why Virgos are so difficult. Y'all shady for that one in Virgo season. We talk about retrogrades other than Mercury. Mecca breaks all of that down. And we even talk about twins in astrology. Like, how the fuck does that work, you know? Mecca even shares all the details about her new book coming out, Astrology for Happiness and Success. So stick around for that conversation. So let's just get right into Boonie's pick of the week this week. You guys know I love a good skincare product, body product, anything. And especially if it is made and produced by a Black woman, then you know I'm all the way there for it. This week, my pick of the week is Honey and Petals. Skintanicals is the company. But shout out to Chrissy out in Compton. Yes, out in LA. I love her product. I purchased from her the honey trap, right? Now that shit is so bomb. Like, most people buy a whipped shea butter, but the honey trap is actually a whipped avocado butter, which I like. It's different. It's a little thicker and heavier, and I like to put the avocado butter on like the same way with shea butter, like when the skin is still a little damp, right? But it's not even that. It's the avocado butter. The scent on this bitch, okay? So it already has the organic avocado butter. Then it has like this blueberry smell. And she also makes this other type of body oil that's in it. The shit is bomb. Your skin won't be dry. You won't be ashy. It smells amazing. And some people just really can't use shea butter because shea butter is still a nut, right? So avocado butter to the rescue. So I love it. I used to just buy plain avocado butter and rub into it. And so I had never seen someone actually make a whipped avocado butter. Buy this shit. I'm telling you, the smell. And it's called Honey Trap. So you can get it's like a 16-ounce jar. You're going to look at the price probably and be like, oh, but I think it's worth it because it lasted me for like 2 months, right? All right. So go buy it. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. And when you get it, tell Chrissy that Boonie sent you to her website to get the avocado butter from Compton. All right, so let's get to this housekeeping. Good news for you guys, and you guys should all thank KG for this one. He talked me into extending season 4 a couple of episodes. Yay, Kenny. So now season 4 will not be ending at the end of October. Okay, so the last new episode was going to drop on October 29th, but now it will drop. The last episode for season 4 will drop November 19th. Okay. So you guys can thank Kenny. There'll be no new episodes in December and early January. So season 5, wow, season 5, but season 5 will start in mid-January. Most likely we'll get through the holiday seasons because who wants to be doing podcasting then, right? But go ahead. Thank KG because I was just going to take all of November and December off. And you guys aren't going to get any new episodes. So he's really the homie looking out for you guys. And I want to thank all of you because you guys are really moving these live show tickets. I honestly believe that I could be sold out of tickets for this show by the end of the month, by the end of September. The show, again, is Friday, November 2nd in Baltimore, Maryland. It is the Boonie Breakdown Live Responsible and Ratchet Edition. I'm so excited. It's going to be so much fun. Again, I have surprises for you guys who attend. I don't like to tell you too much. Just a little fun surprise when you get there. You never know what Boonie has in her bag of tricks. You never know what I have in my whole bag. And you know those whole bag tote bags are on sale on the website over at theboonieBreakdown.com/shop. Okay, that's a shameless plug. But again, I really do think that these tickets could be gone in the next 2 weeks for the live show. Not even joking, if the sales keep up the way they are. So if you would like to be there, tickets are $25. You can head over to theboonieBreakdown.com/live, LIVE, to grab your tickets. Bring a friend. Ladies, I am working on getting some more guys there that are available. Okay, keyword available. But we're just gonna have so much fun. Again, the first one was amazing, and I know this one will be dope as well. Feedback from last episode 72, a girlfriend Kiki with Kim of Pish Posh Perfect. I love the feedback, you guys. Most of you guys said it was just a very honest, dope conversation, and you felt like you were just sitting in on a conversation between two really, really good girlfriends, which is exactly what it was. So glad that you guys enjoyed that one. Again, be sure to follow Kim over at the Pish Posh Perfect. And if you're in Baltimore again and you know the live show really isn't your speed, I don't know why, because it's just going to be this show. But if you want to do something a little bit more intimate, a little bit more self-care, again, you can meet Kim and I at the Perfect Breakdown on September 22nd. I think it's 2 tickets left to that. And we also, I think on when this airs, that'll be the last day, September 17th, to win a ticket sponsored by the ladies over at Schooling Life Podcast. All right, so that's it. Done with the housekeeping. It seemed like a lot, but yeah. So you know the drill. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, The Boonie Breakdown. Follow us on Twitter, Boonie Breakdown. And when you're sharing this episode on all of your social media, be sure to use the hashtag The Boonie Breakdown, the hashtag PODIN, PODIN. It helps spread the word. I cannot do this alone, and I am so thankful and appreciative of every time you share and use your own social capital, your own word of mouth, to put a stamp of approval on the show. I really appreciate it, guys. Okay. So just keep sharing it. I always like and comment when I can. So that is it for me, guys. So let's get ready to break it down. All right, guys, it's your girl Boonie, and with me today, my guest is our resident astrologer here at the Boonie Breakdown. She's an OG now, so welcome back, Mecca.
Hey, I'm happy to be back.
I love it. I think she's been on here 3 or 4 times now. You might be my most invited guest.
Oh, I'm honored. I'm honored.
Thank you for always saying yes.
No problem. And I love our chats.
So, on the last visit to the podcast, you mentioned that you had a book coming out, and about 2 weeks ago, you announced that it's available for pre-order. So, congratulations!
Writing a book. It has been a crazy, exciting, scary, I don't know, sexy journey. What happened, so how I even came to write this book was that Simon & Schuster actually approached me to write it. And they found me, through my horoscopes and my work with Bustle. And they were like, hey, we really like your writing style. You make things very practical and down to earth. And that's exactly what we're looking for. So basically they approached me with this idea to write a book that had to do with practical advice for each sun sign. And so with the book, I'm bringing all kinds of advice from career, wellness, love and relationships, and just really showing each zodiac sign how they can kind of live their best life.
That's awesome. And kudos to the big publisher seeking you out.
Yes. That in itself, was a really crazy thing, because that, in the publishing world, I used to work in it a long, long time ago. That almost like never really happens. And so this definitely was one of those situations where the eclipses brought this opportunity to me. And some people may be familiar with eclipses, some people may not be, but basically, they're something they're really powerful new moons and full moons that happen about every 6 months. And they tend to bring things with them that have to, that feel like a crisis, or they feel like a big sort of turning point, or a sort of like a rebirth, and sometimes things will fall by the wayside or kind of get eclipsed out, like a relationship or a job that's on its last leg. And then sometimes, there's things that come through that are opportunities, but they force you to really grow up and really level up. And that's exactly like what an eclipse is designed to do, is to force us to evolve and grow. And so with this book, for me, it was a big growth spurt because a year prior to me even getting the book deal, I had an idea about a book, but I put it on the shelf and I was like, oh, I'll get to this later because, I was kind of like in my head about it, like, oh, no one's going to read this. And, do I even
Oh.
have the, well, I think it was that. And then also the other side of it was like, do I even have the stamina to sit down and actually like take on a book project, And the universe was like, yes.
The
And
universe
you do.
always gives you the answer.
Right, right. The universe always knows best. And it was like, yes, you do. And so you're going to sit down and you're going to do this. And that's exactly what I did. And here we are.
Awesome. And the book, what is the release date and can people pre-order it now?
Yes. So I don't know if I mentioned the title, but the title of the book is Astrology for Happiness and Success. And it officially hits shelves on October 2nd, but it's available for pre-order now through like Amazon and I believe Google Play and Books a Billions, wherever books are sold.
Gotcha. I will make sure to put the links in the show notes and on the web, theboonieBreakdown.com, where you can pre-order and or order if you have to, wait till a payday. All right. So I'm just curious now that you said that, did you get to have any say in your release date? And did you like try to like pick a release date that worked based off of the stars and the moon?
Yeah. No, that's actually a good question. I wanted to, but the release date was actually something that the publisher picked based off of their schedule. And so, what I decided to do, since I couldn't control the date that it was going to be released, I knew that I would have to do like some marketing in terms of like, pre-orders and things like that. So a lot of my astrological expertise in terms of date picking, things like that, they call it electional astrology, like when you elect a date, it went
Mm.
into picking the timing for like, announcements and like the cover reveal and things like that. So like what was funny about that was way back in June, my editor, like I had wanted to say something about the book and kind of do like the cover reveal, but they were like, no, wait till August because that'll be a lot closer to, October. So I was like, okay, fine. And a couple of weeks went by in August and I finally got this email from my editor and she was like, we haven't seen anything from you, in terms of like, marketing, things like that. And I was like, oh no, it's fine. I'm waiting for the full moon. And she was like, okay. She was like, okay, that's fine. Well, we'll leave it up to you. And so I ended up releasing the cover around the full moon, and it was like an overwhelming like success in terms of like the response to and people pre-ordering. Like it was for that particular weekend, it was like the number one new release in astrology books, for that weekend that I did. So yes, I
Awesome.
was really, really happy about that. And just for anyone who's listening, full moons are always really great. Like when you want to do anything that involves like getting an audience or, a gathering of people, because that's when people tend to be most at their like most energized.
I'm going to keep that in mind as I do more events. Like,
Yeah.
okay, full
Yeah, and,
moon.
and the full moon too is also kind of like spotlighting something. Like the moon is like the light is at its fullest when it with the moon. So it's like anything that you want to kind of spread the word on is revealed around a full moon, which is why they say like if you want to do something secret, don't do it around a full moon because you'll probably be
Ah,
exposed.
well, there you go. Well, we haven't even gotten deep into the astrology questions you sent in, but there we go. And so, just the last couple things on the book. Are you going to do a release party? Are you going to go on a little tour for the book?
Yes, 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 yes. So I am going to do a release party sometime in October. I have a place that I'm looking at. I'm hoping to do it in the Bronx, New York, where I live and where I was born and raised,
BX.
boogie down uptown. Um, and yeah, so that I'll definitely keep people posted on that. And then a tour. Yes, I definitely am interested in planning a tour Working, actually spoke to a friend of mine who's out in LA, who wants to help me do something out there. I'm looking at Chicago, I'm looking at Atlanta, and a couple of other places. So yeah, between, I would say, the end of this year going into early 2019 is when I'll be doing travel. I'm waiting for Jupiter to go into Sagittarius because that is,
Sagittarius.
I think all Sagittarius we're kind of like, enough of this Jupiter and Scorpio. We are tired. We are emotional. We are.
Yes, I can't take it anymore.
We are done with Jupiter and Scorpio. Please just send Jupiter home to Sag so we can
Yes, it's like,
live
come on
our
home,
lives.
come on home. Well,
Yes.
I'm going to throw this out there because when I do things on the podcast, it makes me stick to it. If you would love to have Boonie host you in Baltimore, I would love to do that.
Oh,
So
yes. I would love to. Definitely want to go to the DMV area.
Yes. So, all right, we'll put that on the board. I want to get in it because while we're doing this right now, it's Virgo season. And the very first listener question that I got was this is all it was. Why are Virgos so different and difficult?
Oh my gosh. Wow. That wasn't a Virgo who asked that, right?
No. I asked what their sign was and they said Aquarius.
Oh yeah. Well, Aquarius, I think, is going to have some
difficult too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Aquarians, y'all difficult, yeah, for sure. But I mean, I don't know. I think all signs, like, we all have like our stubborn behaviors and like our things. But I mean, Virgos, I think people tend to bristle with Virgos because Virgos demand a lot. They demand a lot because they give a lot. And if you're someone that's used to kind of like coasting and kind of like not really, pitching in and doing your share, then, you can definitely have a problem with a Virgo. The other thing too is that the shadow side, or like the unbalanced side of Virgo, can err on the side of being a control freak, and so like it can have a lot of trouble asking for help, or allowing other people to kind of like pick up the slack. And so that can also make people crazy in the sense of like, why don't you, just let me help you, or, why don't you let me handle this and like not micromanage. So yeah, Virgos, when they're unbalanced and when they don't know how to trust, and so sort of like allow people to, help them and pick up, the work or do the work alongside them, they can be quite difficult. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm totally a Sag, but my moon is in Virgo. And so I do see those tendencies sometimes in myself where I'm just like, look, I'm putting everything into this, and I'm going to need you to meet me with the same type of enthusiasm, effort level, consistency. And it does become like, when it isn't matched. So I empathize with my Virgos.
Yeah, and like Virgos, I feel like people who have Virgo in their chart, are definitely some of the sweetest people in the world. I think just sometimes the getting caught up in the perfectionism can sometimes be more of a hindrance than it is a help.
I'm shaking my head at that one. It was another question, and I thought this was a really good question, and it made me go back and look at my own chart because I don't know like all of the planets, from my chart by heart. But the question was, does it make a difference on your romantic relationships when your Venus and Mars are in the same planet?
You mean like in the same sign?
Yeah, in the same sign. I'm sorry. So like for me, I went and looked at my chart. My Venus and Mars are both in Aquarius.
Well, yeah, it would make a difference because we're talking about a heavy concentration of energy in terms of that. Excuse me, in terms of that particular zodiac sign. Venus tends to represent like what we want, and Mars is like how we go after it. So if you have Venus in Aquarius, it's kind of like, I want things that may be a bit like offbeat or a a bit eccentric or a bit, unconventional. And then Mars is going to show you like, well, if I have Mars in Aquarius, then I'm going to go after those things in sort of like a very offbeat or unconventional way. And so when they're working together, it's usually helpful because, you feel like you're in alignment, more in alignment in terms of like what you want and how you pursue it. The trouble can kind of arise when Venus and Mars aren't in the same sign, or like, they're having some sort of friction between each other, because then that's when you kind of get like, I want this, but the way that I go after it, it's kind of like sort of like a cat chasing its tail a bit. You know what I mean? So, but that's not to say that there's something necessarily wrong with that. It's just learning how to balance those energies. So with Mars, or rather Venus and Mars, when they're in the same sign, I would say that it actually does play a big difference, because Venus has to do with what you want and Mars is like how you go after it. So let's say, you have Venus and Mars both in the sign of Aquarius. Venus is like, I want things that are a bit offbeat and unconventional and eccentric, and, especially in terms of my relationships. Mars is like, okay, well, let's go after this in a way that's probably going to be offbeat and unconventional. And so in that way, they're kind of working like a team, and, it's probably going to be a little bit more easier for you to get what you want than, let's say, someone who has like Venus and Mars, in like a sort of in different signs, or, signs that don't quite get along with each other. And that's not to say that like one way or the other is like, bad or wrong. It just means that when you have, Venus and Mars in the same time, the energy works a bit easier. But at the same time, if you flip it on the other hand, it's also kind of saying that like there may you like like challenges that may come up may also not be as obvious as well, because they work so well together. So there's kind of like a plus and a minus, to both sides.
Gotcha. Well, that was interesting. I had never even thought about that, but once the question came in, I was like, wait a minute, go back and look at your chart, because I remember it's like, sadly, it's a lot of Aquarius, and then I have a lot of Sagittarius as well.
Oh no, I get it.
So this is another interesting question that came in from a listener. And this was something, again, that I hadn't even thought of. And so the question was, how do astrologers deal with twins? Wouldn't they have the same natal chart? So wouldn't they have the same planet placements?
Yes. Twin charts are actually something that I'm kind of fascinated with. And what's so funny about that is that I've actually done a few charts for twins before. And so in doing the research, like before I actually like sat down with the client and like, went over their chart, there's some, I don't remember the astrologer who wrote about this. I want to say that it was Donna Cunningham. I want to say it was her, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, there's this idea that like when the twins are in their mother's womb, that there's sort of like this unconscious agreement that goes on between them, where it's like, I'm going to take these qualities and you kind of like take those. And so that's where you find like a lot of twins who are, they could be identical, they could be, fraternal, but it's like they don't always quite do everything the same way,
Okay.
And I think part of that might be because, there's still this element of kind of like wanting to be like an individual, kind of wanting to be separate, and kind of wanting to do things very different. Like I know twins who get very upset, like if you like compare them to each other. They're like, oh, no, I'm nothing like my twin, that kind of thing. So yeah, so I was actually, doing a chart for a pair of twins before, and what was so funny about that was that, the things that I was seeing in one of the twins chart, I was like, you're this or that. It looks like, I'm getting this and I'm getting that. And she was like, no, that's actually my sister, and I thought that that was so like fascinating to see like how the twins sort of like, how the characteristics sort of go in like different directions. And to me, it also kind of speaks to how like, we can be born on the same day as other people, and we can have like, we all have like our birthday twins or our astrological or zodiac twins.
We're birthday twins.
Right. Yes, we are. That's right. And you can kind of see, like how like someone that's born on the same day, same year, same hour, how they just go in a different direction, and how you go in a different direction even though you have the same like an identical chart. There was this other study that was kind of done on like twin charts, and it was talking about like these two brothers, and they were twins. One went into the military, another one went into um, becoming a funeral director, and it was because their Mars were different because of the minutes, that they were like the separation or like the gap of time in minutes. So one had like the funeral director, he had Mars in the 12th house, which is a very subdued place for Mars to be because Mars is very aggressive. And so he was more like laid back, chill, behind the scenes one. And the one that had Mars in the first house, which, Mars is very aggressive and it's a very, it's a warrior energy. That was the one that went into the military. So it was really interesting to kind of like read about that and see like how twins can differ from each other, even though they have the same chart.
Yeah, my best friend has twins and they're only 3, but it's interesting to see like their little personalities like starting to develop and how different they are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and they're also developing a twin language. I know they are because I
Oh,
babysat. I
yes.
babysat for them, and they were talking,
Mm-hmm.
and the one was just like cracking up, and I'm sitting here listening, like, what the fuck are they saying? Like, I had
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
it was
Yeah.
the cutest thing. Like
Yep.
they were
Yep.
just
Yep. That's how
cracking up with each other. Ugh, I'm like, that's twins are cool.
I know. I know they're so funny. I know that they say that like people who have twins, they have to learn how to socialize them with other kids because the twins will just play with each other, and they won't, like socialize too much with other children. And so they usually tell parents of twins to kind of like to integrate the twins into like other groups so that it's not just them
Them
together.
together, yeah. I mean, it's like they
Yeah.
have a built-in friend for the rest of their life. Like it's
Yeah,
so
for
cool.
sure.
But I never even thought about, twins having similar natal, like exactly the same natal charts or similar. But that I thought that was a very interesting question.
Yes. Yes.
Earlier you talked about eclipses, and so
Mhm.
naturally you can't talk about astrology without talking about retrogrades.
Right.
And this person said we always only hear about Mercury. Always, always, or always people are obsessed with Mercury and retrograde. But
Right.
right now, I heard that there are many planets in retrogrades. Are there any tips or things that we should be dealing with those? And so yes, I think right now it's still like 3 or 4 in retrograde. What, like
Um,
Pluto,
we have
Neptune?
right. So we have Saturn. We have Saturn, um, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus.
Usually,
Yeah, I think that's four.
yeah, I think it's 4 now. Yeah.
Yeah, because Mars went forward a couple of like last week. So yeah, so I mean, well, I think the reason why people always hear about Mercury is because Mercury is the one that goes to retrograde the most. But Mercury goes
Mm,
retrograde about 3, 4 times a year. So that's why we hear about Mercury the most. Whereas the other planets, their retrogrades, we feel them, but because their retrogrades happen less often and they happen at a very slower pace, I think that's why we don't hear about them a lot. However, when it comes to retrogrades, I always tell people, retrogrades are about like reflection and review and sort of, looking at the past and figuring out like, do I need to, is there like any unfinished business that I need to take care of? Is there
okay.
anything that, any projects I'm working on, anything that I'm doing that is like, okay, how can I make this better or fine tune it? Or, in the case of like Saturn retrograde, it's kind of like, okay, where are the weak structures in my life? And like, how do I either reinforce them or just let them crumble completely? Or, with Pluto, it's like, are there things that I'm like obsessing over that I need to like let go or, stuff like that. So, um, yeah, the retrogrades are always time for like reviewing and really taking our time, which is really incredibly hard because we live in a very fast paced, forward moving world, which tells you that if you slow down, that you're being lazy and, that you're not working hard enough. But I personally am always telling people like retrogrades are not anything to fear. They can be frustrating, yes, even though, I have like 4 retrograde planets in my chart. So, I was born during retrograde. But even though, with me being a Sag, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go now. but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a period of reflection.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm going to say Mercury was definitely the one that made me familiar with the retrogrades and
Hmm.
made me started to like Google and dig a little bit more about like, well, is Mercury the only one that goes retrograde?
Right, right. Oh
Because
no,
once
no,
I
no.
found like, oh my God, everything. Because I think at one point this year was like 6 planets were retrograde at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And then we have
So,
Venus coming up next month. So
so would that affect like your love life with Venus going
yeah,
retrograde?
Venus retrograde affects relationships. It affects your love life. It affects money, pleasure, beauty. I always tell people like, don't do a makeover, like don't do anything drastic or new to like your hair or like your wardrobe or anything like that while Venus is retro because chances are you'll probably not like it by the time Venus starts going forward again. So,
Huh.
um, yeah, and the same thing like starting a relationship during Venus retrograde. I mean, you can like I don't want to say like don't date anybody, like just stay in your house and lock the doors. Um, but I will say, if anyone does start dating someone new during a Venus retrograde, they definitely want to keep their eyes open, and just make sure that they are aware, for like red flags and things like that. It might be something that could be like a really nice fling, but it might not necessarily lead to like something long term. So
Gotcha. Flings are good too. They can be
yeah,
fun.
for sure, for sure. Sometimes you need one. Sometimes you need a little fling.
And so, lastly, this is such a broad question, and I guess you can answer it pretty broadly too. I know we kind of harp on romantic capabilities, not capabilities, compatibilities, and zodiac signs. And do you think now, like we've moved into this space as people start to discover astrology more and like it's becoming like a helpful tool in dating or people using it as kind of like a hindrance or crutch on like bad behavior or why they won't date certain people. Oh, he was an Aquarius. Like,
Right. I think I've seen both. I think that especially like if you go on like, places like Twitter and you see like, certain Twitter accounts and things like that, kind of like, saying very generic things about the sun signs and things like that. And, I think that astrology can be a really great tool in helping us to understand each other better. But
mm,
I do try to like warn people against kind of like using astrology to kind of write people off, because I even did an article about that a while back when I was kind of like, if you are someone who tends to attract a certain sign over and over and over again, and it's a sign that presses your buttons and really gets under your skin, then chances are that zodiac sign is trying to teach you a lesson about yourself. Like there may be something that
mm,
that sign is trying to highlight about you that either you're not owning about yourself and you're kind of projecting it out onto other people, or it's something that you need to sort of, integrate and sort of like, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of bring to the consciousness or bring to your awareness, so that way you can be a better human being. So like for me, for example, I remember there was a time when I was attracting like Scorpios left and right, and I still do. But one reason, after after like all the the chaos and like the madness of it, I finally stopped resisting the lesson. And one of the lessons was like, be more selective about who you let into your life, because Scorpios are very selective about who they let in, because they, you have to earn their trust. And so, I tell people like if there's a certain sign that, you feel keeps doing you in or, gets under your skin, what is that lesson? Try to figure out that lesson that that sign is bringing you, because chances are they're just being a mirror to you.
mm. No, I like that. Cause I know, I've said this many a times. I do write off Gemini men. I'm like, I already know I can't do it. But I said I'm gonna do better. Um, with just like doing a blanket wipeout. But I
Mhm.
am guilty of it. I will take the charge.
No, I mean, I think we all do it to some degree. It'll be like, oh, these like they're Libras, or oh God, those Virgos. But it's kind of like I always have to just like remind myself or remind others. It's like before we like start pointing the finger, it's kind of like, okay, what is it about us that we need to sort of like integrate and acknowledge? So
Yeah, I like it. Well, we've reached the part of the podcast where we do the breakdown. So, Mecca, I'm going to say one word.
Okay.
And you have to say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay. Happiness.
Joy.
Stars.
On fire.
Gucci.
I don't know. Gucci. Expensive taste.
Horoscopes.
Useful.
Sagittarius.
Fire.
Full moon.
Crazy.
And the last one, big hair.
Don't care.
Well, Mecca, thank you again for coming on the podcast. Congrats on your book.
Thank you so much.
Tell
thank
everyone where to follow you on social media, what your website is, and the release date for the book one more time.
Sure. So you can follow me at The Mechanism on Twitter. You can also find me at my website, which is mylifecreated.com. And my book, Astrology for Happiness and Success, is out in stores October 2nd, but it's available for pre-order now.
Yes. So congrats again. It's so exciting. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you for all the support.
Of course. I've already pre-ordered my book. So you guys should make sure to get yours and support Meeca.
Please.
Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Meeca for coming on the podcast and being a Boonie Breakdown all-star. I really appreciate that she really, whenever I ask, she's always on and willing to do a show. So I appreciate it. Be sure to follow her on social media if you have yet to do so. And please, please, please pre-order her book, Astrology for Happiness and Success. Okay? The link is in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts, or any app that you listen to your favorites on. Don't forget to leave a review too. You might just hear your review on the next episode. Follow us on social media. Share the episode with those you love, those you don't love, those you fucking hate. I don't make those pretty images for nothing, okay? Have a dope ass week. Thank you for listening. And remember, the ratchet in me always honors the ratchet in you. Until next time.